mind. Again, good morning, everyone. I hope you all are having a good day today. I think we already know why we are all here. I want to welcome you all for the part two of this webinar presentation titled Community Exposure, Immersion, and Service with the Team The Bare Truth, Raising Awareness and Engagement. Last week, we learned a lot from Miss Maria Teresa's comment session. She was able to share her experience about their foundation, um, her experiences about community service, about volunteerism. Right now, we will be having another guest speaker. I know for sure that we can gain more knowledge about the reality and we can understand more about life. Without further ado, may I call on Miss Angie Alvarez to introduce our second speaker for today.
Thank you, Kurt. Good day to all. Today's speaker on the part two of our webinar on community exposure, immersion and service for our NSTP CWTS students is studied her BS Biology and Doctor of Medicine at Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila. She graduated her master's degree in public health at Institute of Community and Family Health. She had her training in alternative residency program in community medicine at the Community Medicine Development Foundation Incorporation. Her interest in community development started during her medical school, where she joined numerous student integration programs and medical missions. She was inspired by the genuine desire and efforts of the people to address their health needs despite the limited resources. After passing the physician licensure examination, she became a community physician in areas of Abra and Visayas. She later became the director of health education, training and services in the Department of Council for Health and Development, which is a national organization of community-based health programs, who will provide assistance to the national organization all over the country, mainly through program formation, capacity building of community health workers, resource generation, and project monitoring and evaluation. Currently, our dear speaker is one of the prestige faculty members of PLM College of Medicine, coordinator of community rotation of the fourth-year medical students, and a vice chairman of PLM COVID-19 Task Force. Through her dedication, love, and concern to the people in the community, she would like to share her experiences and guide the aspiring doctors on how they can render quality, relevant, appropriate, and equitable healthcare in the community. Ladies and gentlemen, my dear students, it is my privilege and honor to introduce to you our speaker, a very humble and a person with a big heart who is willing to serve the community with smile, even in the face of hardship. A PLM College of Medicine pride. Let's welcome Dr. Mary Mia Clamor.
Thank you, Ate Angie, for that introduction. Bigla akong na-pressure. Good morning to our students. Good morning to our organizers. Hindi ko na po iisa-isahin. Thank you for inviting me dito sa webinar na ito. I'm always glad to share my experience and our experience ng aming mga estudyante sa College of Medicine sa pagdating sa community service and engagement. That's why without hesitation, I would like pumayag ako and hoping na kahit during this time of pandemic na hindi kayo nakakalabas, mas maiintindihan nyo at uh, malalaman nyo, no, how it is to be in the communities, and also be excited na magpunta sa communities after this pandemic is siguro over, or at least medyo mag-subside yung ating cases. Kasi actually, kahit naman sa ngayong may pandemic, hindi pwedeng tumigil, okay, sa pagbibigay ng serbisyo, kasi this is the time na mas kailangan nila talaga ng ating services. And kahit sa iba't ibang pamamaraan at strategies, pwede tayong mag-engage sa ating community, just like what the College of Medicine right now is doing, and other actually academies and organizations providing services to our communities. Okay, so let me share muna yung aking ito. Kita na po ba? Okay. So, ang topic natin ngayon, for my part, kasi last time, ang ating guest speaker shared about the experience ng isang organization. Ito, entirely different. While I also work in a non-government organization, and mostly nagbibigay din kami ng mga exposure programs to our volunteer students. Dito sa College of Medicine, it is our pride that community service, community engagement is part of our education. So this is entitled Community-Oriented Medical Education, Providing Enabling Environment for the Learners. So as a background, siguro para lang mas maintindihan natin bakit ang medicine laging nandyan sa labas. So it's part of our vision, okay, that to be a professional school committed to the excellence in community-oriented medical education, training, and service, and of course our mission as an excellent center for education, training, medical professionals who are highly competent, globally competitive, ethical, caring, and dedicated to serve the health needs of the city of Manila, the nation, and the world. So kaya yung College of Medicine is mainly, to provide yung appropriate education doon sa ating mga aspiring doctors in order to serve, of course, the health needs of our dear city, and syempre, kasama na doon yung buong Pilipinas, and saan man sa mundo, pang Miss Universe talaga yung aming vision mission. So, that is why, doon sa buong package ng curriculum ng College of Medicine, community orientation is at the forefront. Okay, so konting background, yung nasa forefront kasi ng community-oriented medical service education is the Family and Community Medicine department, where I am part. Sa first year, we just teach yung concepts, community diagnosis. Okay, sorry. Next slide po. Okay, and then sa second year, we do research sa community rin to. The third year, we learn about the health systems and the programs. Okay, and sa fourth year, integrated activities where lahat ng mga natutunan namin, and ina-apply, and of course, giving services sa community. Next slide po. Okay, pero merong in-betweens ito. So in between dun sa first year, second year, and third year, as part also of our um, uh, community orientation, no, we do community service. Every summer yan, no, all the scholars do this community service. So next slide. So yan, mga ilang pictures lang yan. Okay. So ang objective nitong aming community service is to expose yung students to the concrete conditions of communities in Manila and other parts of the country and provide necessary health service to these communities. It would also like to support the implementation of our college community and extension programs, projects, and researches as educators, researchers, health providers, and social mobilizers, and community advocates. And of course, to establish a relationship with program partners and stakeholders. Okay, so yung mga partner communities namin or mga barangays and other NGOs sa College of Medicine. Okay. Next po. So our strategies includes, of course, community exposure, community survey, interview, and community engagement. Okay, baka hanapin niya saan yung community organizing. It's actually should be part, kaya lang as hindi na namin siya isinasama doon sa although of course parang ganun na rin yun. Nag-organize kasi kami sa community, but not that siguro that much kasi our students are parang rotating parang dumadaan. When community organizing talaga needs mga full-time mga staff and people to do the organizing. But then again, yan yung pinipilit natin gawin sa ating community. Okay? But before, next slide po. Okay. Bago kami pumapasok sa community, we make sure na nagkakaintindihan kami ng mga estudyante namin. And I think kayo rin during this whole time na nag-NSTP kayo, na pinag-aralan nyo what's community participation, organizing. Okay? Dapat mag-level off kami kung ano ba ang dapat naming tingin sa community. Okay? First, let's define what is community ba. Okay, communities is a group of people living in the same area, sharing the same basic values and organization, or a group of people sharing the same basic interests at any given time, or a group of people targeted for interventions. Pero for our part, lagi namin tinitingnan yung mga community living in the same area kasi more or less they have the same interests, they have the same conditions. Okay, so as a partner, okay, according to Daniel Blumenthal et al., okay, the community is not a classroom for the medical students to fulfill their academic requirements. Okay, we have to be very clear on that. Hindi sila natin ginagawang parang silid-aralan, na pinag-aaralan. It's not even a laboratory for the school to experiment with different approaches. Hindi po pwedeng, let's try this in this community kasi baka okay. Pag hindi okay, let's try this. Hindi po pwedeng ganun. Kasi mga tao yan, na affected ng whatever happens in their community. So, kung ano man yung ini-inject natin ng mga approaches, affected sila. So, we do not treat our community as classroom or laboratory. And, of course, it's not a charity case to passively receive dole-out projects. Ito yung kinakalungkot namin madalas kasi most of yung mga nagbibigay ng tulong sa ating communities, they just see our communities na sige, kailangan ng tulong and then we'll give this to them. Okay? Maraming organizations ganyan, even some academic institutions ganyan. But we do not, okay, treat them as charity case kasi as I've learned dun sa community, they have the potential. And in my experience, talagang genuine yung kanilang effort, yung kanilang struggle to help themselves. So, hindi natin sila kailangang bigyan lang nung tingin natin na kailangan nila. Okay? Let's help them help themselves. Okay? And yun nga, marami ng communities na ganyan. They can help themselves. Bigyan lang natin sila ng opportunity. Let's teach them yung mga ways na kailangan. Okay? And last, we have to treat the community as an active partner in social development, which includes health and access to healthcare. Okay? Hindi natin sila lang pasyente. Okay? Meron silang responsibility, just like every one of us, sa kanilang own health, and yun nga, it was proven na kaya naman nilang gawin. Okay? Sige. So yun, kailangan bago tayo pumasok sa community, maliwanag tayo dyan. Hindi tayo pupunta dyan para lang mag-aral. And actually, for the College of Medicine, it's a balancing act, of course, kasi we have the need na matuto yung ating mga students while engaging in our community. And of course, the community has to also learn from us, o meron tayong gustong ibigay sa kanila, pero hindi ibig sabihin nun parang tatanggap na nga lang sila, at hindi ibig sabihin nun gagawin natin yung lahat ng tingin natin ay tama, not without their permission, kasi yun nga, ma-affect yung ating mga communities. That's why, siguro for the longest time na maraming mga institutions, organizations na tumutulong sa communities, mas naging ganun yung approach, and that most communities, ganun na rin yung kanilang attitude, just to wait for help. Okay? Pero once na na-organize sila, na-empower ang ating mga communities, you will see that more than tayo yung nagbibigay ng education sa kanila, we are, tayo yung mas natututo sa kanila. Okay? That's why actually this community service engagement is always part of the learning of the medical students. Okay? Next po. Okay. So, kung nakita nyo kanina yung strategies natin, exposure, mga interviews and community diagnosis, and then engagement, okay? Hindi natin binabayaan na hindi maintindihan ng mga students natin or yung mga nagpupunta sa community. Ano ba talaga ang totoong problema ng ating communities? And I really also cannot let this opportunity pass to share with you ano yung tingin natin doon sa healthcare system and the health situation in the Philippines, which affects yung ating mga maliliit na communities. Okay? So, pag nag-expose na sila, it's either we discuss this with them beforehand para pagdating nila more or less naiintindihan na nila, or pwedeng magpunta sila doon, then we process ano ba yung tingin nila doon sa nangyayari, and then yan, ipinapaliwanag natin bakit ganon, kasi health is multifactorial. So lahat ng mga aspects ng community involved doon sa health ng ating mga patients or ng population. So the current Philippine healthcare system, in a nutshell, 7 out of 10 Filipinos die without medical attention. Doctor population ratio is at 24,000 per one doctor, when in fact ang recommendation is dapat may isang doctor for every 400 population. So, makikita nyo kung gaano yung disparity and of course, ang translation yan in accessibility to healthcare. Okay, majority of the Philippines, especially the children, suffer from malnutrition. Okay, infectious disease such as TB, pneumonia are preventable, but kills 100,000 Philippines every year. Okay, more than yung COVID natin. Okay, and so on. Next po. Okay, so ito ilan lang dun sa ating mga health data which shows how dismal is the health situation of our people. No? So among 0 to 4, 33% or 3 out of 10 daw ay stunted, and dun sa 5 to 10, 33% or 3 out of 10 is also stunted. Okay? Eh ano bang ibig sabihin ng pandak yung mga bata? Kulang sa height. Ganyan ba talaga? Filipino cute lang? No, this actually means that they are suffering from chronic malnutrition. Kaya talagang doon pa lang sa unang mga taon ng kanilang paglaki, nakikita na yung impact o yung epekto ng chronic na kagutuman at malnutrition sa mga bata, which of course affects their immunity, di ba? Their brain development and their full potential pagka lumaki na sila. Okay, next po. Okay. So, just like kanina, 6 out of 10 Filipinos die without medical attention. I think this is much more ngayon kasi nga doon sa COVID-19 pandemic. And 80,000 Filipino babies die of preventable causes annually. Sabihin, pwede naman sanang maiiwasan, pero marami pa rin tayong mga babies na namamatay. At hindi nakakaabot man lang ng 5 years old. Ano? Dahil doon sa, mostly because of their conditions, living conditions, nutritional status, among other things. Next po. Okay, so according to WHO, tuberculosis affects 1 million of Filipino. Okay, more than 70 Filipino die of TB every day. Okay, so and every year more than 100 to 150,000 TB patients experience financial difficulties dahil ang mahal din ng gamot ng TB. And overall in the world, we rank third in the most number of TB cases. So why TB? Kasi TB is preventable, okay? Curable, pero ito pa rin, ano? Bakit? Bakit ganon? So pag pumunta kayo sa community, makikita natin, bakit nga ba tayo maraming communicable diseases, especially TB. Next. Okay. On top of that, mahal ang gamot sa Pilipinas. Ano? Sabi ng World Health Organization, the Philippines remain to be the second highest in Asia, next to Japan, to have yung pinakamataas na cost of medicine. So, yun ang pinakamasaklap doon, no? Problematic na nga tayo sa mga sakit. Okay, malnourished ang ating mga bata, hirap ang ating mga kababayan. Then, pag nagkasakit, ang mahal ng gamot. Okay, next po. Okay, so, ito, pinapakita lang yung persistent inequities in health outcomes. Ibig sabihin, ito, like this, a Filipino child born to poorest families 3 times more likely not to reach his 5th birthday compared to one born to the richest family. Okay, and 3 out of 10 children nga are stunted. Next po. Okay. So, lahat ng yon and many more, actually, pag nag-uusap kami ng mga health indicators, napakarami nating makikita na parang malulungkot ka, especially as doctors, ano, that in this ancient time na napakarami nating doctors, at this ancient time na technology is available, marami pa rin tayong namamatay, nagkakasakit due to basic na mga sakit. When sa totoo lang, it's actually eliminated na doon sa ibang bansa. Okay? So that we have to see yung people's health situation on a wider societal context. Hindi po pwedeng nakahiwalayan. Hindi po pwedeng, ito yung health and hindi natin makita. Bakit nga ba sila nagkasakit? So next po. Okay? So sabi ni Rudolph Virchow, do we not always find the disease of the populace traceable to the defects in the society? So while tinitingnan natin yung mga sakit, no, if we trace it, just like when we do yung problem identification or problem tree namin, we always go deeper and nakikita namin kung saan nanggagaling yung mga sakit. It's mostly in the problem in the society. Okay? Next po. Okay. So we have to address as not just as doctors, as people, we have to address yung mga determinants of health like education, access and quality, healthcare and quality, neighborhood and built environment, social and community context, and economic stability. Hindi namin yan ihiwalay. Bakit nagkakasakit yung mga tao? Bakit ganyan yung conditions nila? Bakit ganyan yung kanilang behavior? Pag pumunta tayo sa community, sometimes maaasar tayo. Pero because that's actually, being determined by these social context and factors. So that kailangan natin siyang i-address in order for us to really address yung health problems nila. Okay, next po. Okay. So, ang isang premise natin, kanina nakita natin ang premise natin, ano ba yung community at ano yung community participation. Next is that health, ito lagi nating pinapaalala, hindi lang sa ating doctors, but also to our patients, that your health, the health of each and every one of us, is our right. Okay, it is guaranteed by our Constitution, sa Bill of Rights. It is guaranteed in the WHO, or World Health Organization Constitution, United Nations International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, and in the Alma Ata Declaration. Okay, next po. Okay. And the right to health should ensure that the nation's healthcare system is responsive to the healthcare needs of our population. Ibig sabihin, the government should ensure that yung health needs nung ating mga tao is available, is accessible, is acceptable within our culture, and appropriate yung quality. Okay? And sino nagpo-provide nun? Okay? Tayo yun. The healthcare professionals, we provide, kasi kami yung duty bearer, okay? And the government's the duty bearer. And all the people, yung mga pasyente natin, the community, are the rights holder. And as duty bearer, we have the responsibility to uphold these rights. Okay? Hindi po pwedeng, pag wala kang pera, hindi ka makaka-avail ng or makaka-access ng healthcare service. Karapatan mo yun eh. Parang karapatan mong mabuhay. So, karapatan mo rin yung health. So, whether or not mayaman ka, mahirap ka, iba yung ano yung religion mo, anong age mo, gender, culture, political belief, kailangan matanggap mo yung health services. So, yun yung parate, next po, na pinag-uusapan natin when we go to the communities. Okay? And this right to health should ensure yung equity, should be responsibility of the government, should address the social determinants, and should, of course, solicit yung community participation. Kasi while the government and the duty bearer has the responsibility to the health of the people, each and every one of us has our responsibility to our own health. Okay? And yun nga, yung gusto natin is mag-participate tayo, yung buong community, para ma-address natin yung health needs natin. Okay? So, next po. Okay, so pag pumupunta tayo sa community, yun yung gusto sana nating mas maintindihan ng ating mga doctors, ninyo, ng mga students na pumupunta doon. Na community is our partner, And that yung mga binibigay natin sa kanila, not necessarily health services, kasi there are other courses, there are other professions and disciplines. Pero it is the same basic concept, partnership with the community. Hindi po pwedeng dole out, okay? And siguro, for community engagement, okay, may mga prerequisite. Okay, like, paano mo ma-engage yung community? Paano mo siya ma-encourage to participate in yung mga endeavors na inaano natin, no? Paano mo siya may encourage na ma-mobilize para i-address yung mga needs nila, not necessarily health, livelihood, yan ang laging una no? Sa listahan, kasi syempre kailangan nilang mabuhay. So, siguro first, kailangan establish natin yung relationship with the community and trust ng community sa atin. We pwedeng interchangeably educate them or inform them, or kunin natin yung insights. Okay? Minsan kasi papasok tayo sa communities, baon-baon natin lahat ng nalalaman natin, mga technocrats tayo at tingin natin, ito yung problema nila, ito yung ituturo natin. When in fact, iba yung felt need ng ating mga communities. Kaya minsan hindi sila nagpa-participate kasi hindi nila feel na yun yung kailangan nila. Meron silang ibang nakikitang needs nila. So that, kaya nga merong mga community diagnosis, interviews, para malaman natin yung kanilang pulso. Ano po ba yung tingin yung problema nyo? And next, ano po ba tingin nyo yung magiging solusyon sa problema nyo? Kasi kami po nandito to assist, okay? To help. Or minsan nga, kahit pagpunta lang natin doon, malaking bagay sa kanila. Yung solidarity natin doon sa kanilang kalagayan. Okay? And then, of course, pag sa partnership, may task. Okay? Hindi po pwedeng, sige, ito na yung tingin namin solusyon sa problema namin. Hindi tayo yung gagawa nun. Task tayo, partner. Ibig sabihin, ano yung pwede nilang gawin? Ano yung pwede natin gawin? Okay? And lastly, of course, kung talaga na-organize natin sila, most of the time, sa aking experience as community doctor in the barrios, pag na-empower kasi talaga sila, okay, sila na yung magsasabi sa'yo, ito yung gawin natin. Okay? Ito yung tingin namin the best for our community. And when that time comes, yun ang pinakamasaya nating siguro moment na na-empower natin at na-organize yung ating communities, na hindi na lang sila dependent sa mga pupunta at magbibigay, but they will do anything in their power para masolusyonan yung problems nila. Okay? So, yon siguro yung sa communities. And then, ito, some pics of ano yung mga ano yung mga ginagawa natin sa community pag pumupunta tayo doon. Minsan, we started outreach muna, to foster muna yung partnership. Kasi pwedeng usap-usap lang sa community. Minsan, kailangan makita nila na, meron silang mapapala sa inyo. So, ito, as a start, pwede kami nagaganyan. Pero, hindi parating bigay lang ng bigay, may mga process na pinagdadaanan yan, like in community diagnosis, consultations, and partnership. Okay? Siguro at this point, ito kasi mga pictures lang. Can I share yung video, okay, nung aking sorry. Wala. Kita na po?
ba na yun sa aking piling? Nasasaktan man ang puso't damdamin. Ulit ko na sa'yo na aminin, ika'y mahal pa rin. Kung sakali na muli.
Sorry. Parang yan. Naririnig niyo pa yung sound or wala? Wala eh.
Ito ang Smoky Mountain,
Yes, Doc, we can
Noon.
hear the sound, Doc.
Okay, thank you.
isang malaking landfill ng basura sa loob ng mahigit 40 taon. Sa ilang dekada, nagsilbing kabuhayan at tahanan ang Smoky Mountain para sa mga mahihirap. Namuhay sila rito bilang mga mangangalakal ng basura o scavengers. Naging mukha ng kahirapan ng bansa ang Smoky Mountain. Sa paglipas ng panahon, nagbagong anyo na rin ang Smoky Mountain. Mula sa dating malaking dump site ng basura, isa na itong bundok na pinamumuhayan ng maraming halaman. Hindi na ito isang open dump site, ngunit tila patuloy pa rin namumuhay ang mga residente sa kahirapan. Nananatili ang ilang pamilya sa Upper Smoky Mountain sa kabila ng kakulangan sa mga pang-araw-araw na pangangailangan gaya ng tubig, kuryente at maayos na tirahan. Maraming pamilya pa rin ang salat sa buhay. Ngunit sa likod ng mga ngiting ito ay mga suliraning malimit matatagpuan sa mga urban poor areas ng Maynila. Mula sa maruming kapaligiran, nagmumula ang iba't ibang sakit katulad ng trangkaso, ubo, sipon, pagtatae at hika. Ang mga ito ay pinapalala pa ng kakulangan ng tamang nutrisyon, malinis na tubig at sapat na edukasyon. Dahil din sa mababang level ng edukasyon, maraming residente ang nagtatrabaho ng may mababang kita na hindi sapat upang matugunan ang pang-araw-araw nilang pangangailangan.
Kasi ang buhay dito sa Smoky Mountain, yung pang araw-araw na trabaho, ay yung kagaya ng pag umuulan, nagtatanim sila. At tinatanim nilang karaniwan dito, mga talbos ng kamote, mais, kamoteng kahoy, tapos mga okra, patola, talong. Yan yung mga karaniwan. Pero mas maraming itinatanim dito yung mga talbos. Dahil yung talbos na yan, dyan sila kumikita. Ngayon, ang pang-araw-araw naman din na gastusin dito, siyempre, doon naman kinukuha sa pag-harvest ng mga pananim nila.
Upang mas lubusan naming malaman ang kalagayan ng komunidad, nagsagawa kami ng isang community diagnosis. Ito ang siyang magiging batayan upang makabuo kami ng isang programa na maaaring magbigay ng solusyon sa problema ng komunidad. Sa aming pagpupulong, napagdesisyonan naming gumamit ng estratehiyang magiging interaktibo at masigla ang pagbibigay impormasyon sa mga mamamayan. Nagkaroon kami ng mga lecture series na may paraffol sa pagitan. Nagsagawa rin kami ng mga palaro sa mga bata, cooking demo para sa mga nanay, at pabingo para sa lahat habang ibinabahagi ang mga impormasyong dapat nilang malaman. Dito nagmula ang aming tema na tinaguriang Kalusugan para sa Smoky na Bukasan, na siyang naglalayong magbigay kaalaman sa aspetong pangkalusugan.
Pagka narinig mo yung Smoky Mountain, unang papasok sa isip mo na madumi, bundok ng basura, mahihirap, mga taong walang disiplina. Pero parang ganun din yung una kong parang naisip nung narinig ko na doon kami pupunta. Pero nung pagdating ko dito, nabago lahat yun. Tapos ang napalit doon ay parang grupo ng mga tao na punong-puno ng pag-asa na makakaalis sila sa kahirapan, na sila yung mga biktima ng mga bulok na sistema at saka ng kahirapan. Ngayon para sa akin may dalawang phases ng Smoky Mountain. Yung dun sa baba, yung mga nakatira na sa tenement, medyo nakakaluwag na sila sa buhay. At yung mga nasa upper, at saka meron pa yung sa side nung Marala po ba yun? Sa Marala, na nakakaranas pa din nung talagang kahirapan, tunay na kahirapan. Kaya nung binigyan kami ng CDX or Community Diagnosis para sa Smoky Mountain, tapos binasa ko, sabi ko parang hindi naman ito talaga yung naranasan namin sa una naming pagpunta doon. So, parang ginusto po naming magsimula ulit ng panibagong Smoky Mountain na ang kinikater lang ay yung mga taga-upper. Tapos yun nga, nung pangalawang linggo namin, natapos yung CDX, tapos nalaman yung mga pangunahing problema na dinaranas ng komunidad tulad ng mataas na incidence ng mga environmental infectious diseases tulad ng ubo, sipon, kati-kati or mga bulate, yung mataas na incidence ng malnutrition, tsaka yung laganap na pagsi-self-medicate. Kaya ngayon naisip namin paano ba namin matutulungan yung mga tao or mga mamamayan ng Smoky Mountain na busy sa paghahanap buhay, busy sa kung ano yung kakainin nila sa araw-araw na hindi kami masyadong makakaabala. So, naisip namin na magkaroon na lang ng lecture series para i-empower sila, dagdagan yung kaalaman nila tungkol sa mga bagay na to. Tapos, para sa mga bata, tinuruan namin silang maghugas ng kamay. Pinaka-remarkable sa akin dun sa paghuhugas sa workshop, kasi dun ako nag-stay, sa workshop ng paghuhugas ng kamay. Nung tinuruan namin yung mga bata na maghugas ng kamay, nilabas namin yung parang tipi tap. Tapos may tubig may tubig. Tapos parang kita ko talaga yung kinang nung mga mata nila nung nilagyan namin ng tubig, tapos lumabas yung tubig dun sa bote. Parang sabi ko nga sa mami ko, sinong natutuwa sa tubig? Bata ka, sinong matutuwa na meron kayong tubig nung araw na yun? Kaya parang, nagsasayang ako ng tubig. Tapos sila, konting buhos lang dun sa maliit na butas na ginawa lang namin para madaling makapaghugas ng kamay. Tuwang-tuwa sila, tsaka sa sabon. Kaya doon parang, kaya doon parang, sabi ko, shucks, kailangan talaga ng tulong. Kailangan ng marami pang mga programa para maabot yung mga inietsapwera ng pamahalaan or ng sistema.
Gaano man katarik ang lakbay na tatahakin, hindi ito hadlang upang maisakatuparan ng Smoky Mountain ang magandang kalusugan para sa kanilang maayos at magandang smoke kinabukasan.
Sinikap namin kami ay mabuhay ng payapa at marangal. Kumain man kami, aming pinagpaguran, walang kapwa.
Okay. So yun po yung isa doon sa videos sa maraming videos na po-produce namin every time na pumupunta kami sa community, but that's just one. At ang gusto nating emphasize dyan, hindi po kasi tayo makakapag bigay ng tamang interventions without really knowing ano talaga yung sitwasyon ng community. Parang sa pagdodoktor lang yan. Mahirap, hindi ka makapagbigay ng tamang gamot kung hindi mo siya na-diagnose, no? Na-check ng maigi at na-diagnose ng tama kung ano yung problema nila. So, minsan talagang kulang sa oras kasi mahabang proseso yung pagsa-survey, pag-a-analyze ng mga iba't ibang factors at pagpa-prioritize ano ba talaga yung pinaka problema nila at pinaka magandang solusyonan na una doon sa problema nila na sa mahabang listahan ng problema nila, no? Tubig ba, kabuhayan ba, so those things. And we are very fortunate na itong ating mga medical students ay talagang all out sa yung effort, okay? Kahit yung resource mobilization, sila na ang naghahanap ng mga pwede nilang lapitan para matulungan natin yung communities and iba-ibang ways na mas matututo yung communities. So yan. And of course, maswerte rin yung college dahil yung ating mga doctors lagi namin kasama sa panahon na yung ating mga students ay pinapalangoy natin sa community to really assist and guide them. Paano nga ba tayo mga doctors pag nandito na sa community. Next po. So ilan lang yan sa picture sa Baseco, sa Happy Land, okay? And of course, part din ng aming in-betweens, kasi yan mga hindi during the time na may pasok dahil talagang toxic sila. Ito during summer integration. Pero during the times na meron tayong class, okay, or nasa SEM, meron pa rin kaming ibang mga ginagawa aside from yung regular na academic activities. May mga extension services tayong ginagawa where yung mga medical students also becomes part of nung mga iba't ibang outreach programs at programa ng gobyerno, kagaya ng feeding program, ng DOST, Red Cross, at saka ng mga city government, yung mga ligtas tigdas. So yan, kasama yan dun sa mga learning process din ng ating mga students. Okay, next po. Okay, yan. So ito yung pinaka-recent, yung sa Taal Volcano eruption, yung kalusugan sa Lunduyan dun sa mga evacuation center, kung saan yung buong PLM naman, kasamang College of Medicine, meron kami at PT and Nursing, meron kaming project dun sa mga evacuation center saan nga ba yan? Sa Laurel, Batangas. Okay? So yan. Next po. Okay. So, doon sa buong process, ayan, parang naano ko na siya kanina, na nabanggit ko na rin kanina. Kailangang i-review and analyze, okay, yung sitwasyon ng community and kailangan mas deeper grasp mo doon sa situation nila. And of course, ma-utilize mo yung mga information na available para makapag-design ka ng relevant project. Hindi necessarily health, livelihood project para sa mga econ students, iba't ibang interventions para sa iba't ibang professions. And of course, gusto natin kasi ma-develop yung skills and values natin towards community organization, health prevention, at makapag-implement and evaluate tayo ng mga project natin sa community. Of course, as doctors, kasama na rin yung pag-manage namin ng patient holistically, hindi lang sila as kaso, holistic. Makikita mo ano yung context ng patient mo, so paano mo siya gagamutin. And of course, makapag-integrate tayo dun sa mga serbisyong pinoprovide ng gobyerno para sa kanila. Okay? Next po. Okay, so ito naman sa mga fourth year students natin, pag nasa community rotation, ayan, iba-ibang programa, iba-ibang, kung ano-ano, lahat. Ginagawa natin, Zumba, check-up, alternative medicine like acupuncture, okay? Interviews, mental health, okay? Education para sa mga kabataan. Okay? So those are the things na kasama dun sa ating community-oriented medical education. Next po. Okay, so yan pa. So, yan. Kung nakita nyo kanina sa video, nakipagtanim sila. Ito naman, dun sa Baseco, balat sila ng bawang. Kasi yun yung pangunahing hanap buhay ng mga nanay doon. So, ganun din, no? Sumasali kami sa kanilang livelihood production para mas maintindihan, especially itong ating mga medical students, minsan talagang ibang-iba talaga yung buhay. So, para mas maintindihan nila, saan ang gagawing community, paano yung hirap ng community, at hindi nila rin isipin na tamad lang sila, kaya sila mahirap, ano? Kasi nakikita nila mismo ng kanilang kung gaano kasipag yung ating mga nanay at tatay sa komunidad para lang mairaos yung, at of course, mairaos at the minimum at umunlad yung kanilang kabuhayan at kalusugan. Okay? And sumasama rin tayo sa iba't ibang advocacy. Okay? To the point na sumasama kami sa mga rallies to advocate for patients' rights. Okay? Next po. Yan. So, ito naman, dahil nag-pandemic, isang napaka challenging na panahon para sa ating mga doktor, estudyante, paano kami makakatulong at paano mag-i-engage sa community during this time of pandemic. So, kahit pa paano, no, nakaka-adjust through so many different strategies para makapagpaabot pa rin ng tulong kahit na remote or nasa malayo. Okay, ito po yung ating mga next po, mga ginagawa ngayon sa College of Medicine na pwede nyo rin gawin, no? So, yan yung mga learning activities natin, project planning pa rin, education pa rin, through online, nag-a-assess pa rin kami ng families, nagle-lecture pa rin kami, nag-workshop, processing and reflection ng mga students on how they feel about ito nga sa pandemic at ito lang yung engagement natin. Next po. So yan yung aming mga meetings, mga assignments pa rin. Next po. Okay. Yan. So, hindi pa rin nawawala, no, yung pag-assess natin dun sa kalagayan ng mga community, especially ngayon, at ano yung po pwede namin may tulong. Next po. Okay. So, ito yung ating mga estudyante. On their own initiative, talagang nagbibigay pa rin ng tulong. Pumupunta pa rin kahit sinabi ng bawal. I'm sorry, pero talagang sila, Doc, kami pupunta kami sa community kasi tingin namin kailangan nyo ng ganito. Okay. Of course, with mga consultations. And the College of Medicine naman din talaga as a project with our adapted community. On start pa lang ng pandemic, nagbigay na tayo ng tulong, resources, education dito sa ating partner na barangay. Kasi nga, this is the time na mas kailangan nila tayo. Next po. Okay, and ngayon, ito yung pinagkakabalahan namin. We have Forward Manila. It's a program ng ating mga clerks, pero online. Next po. So, ito yung aming 4 pillars ng project, yung increased fiscal mental resilience ng ating mga kababayan sa adapted community. Reduce transmission, reduce contact, and intensify case detection and management. So, tinutulungan talaga natin yung community para maiwasan. Kasi sa tingin natin, ang pinaka frontline dapat ay yung nando sa community. Maiwasan yung transmission sa community para hindi na sila dumating sa kailangan pumunta sa hospital. Kung saan talagang tambak-tambak na yung mga pasyente at meron na nagkakamatay nang hindi man lang na-check up ng doktor. So, ito yung ating strategy. Next po. So, yan yung ating Facebook page, Forward Manila. At yan yung mga ina-upload na mga education, challenges ng ating mga estudyante na pinag-iisipan namin yan. Mahabang proseso bago kami makapag-upload ng mga educational materials, ano yung mga contest, okay? Dahil talagang nakikipag-usap muna tayo sa community. Tama ba to? Ito ba yung... So, may mga ganong proseso na inaalam muna natin ano yung talagang pangailangan at ano yung pinakamagandang approach na pwede namin gawin online. Next po. Okay, so yan po yung Facebook page. Pwede po kayong bumisita, pwede nyo rin i-like at i-share kasi marami po tayong education dyan, especially about COVID-19. Okay, sige po, next. Okay, so sa buong yon, ang lifeline po talaga ng ating mga programa sa komunidad ay first yung community participation. Pero syempre, hindi ganon kadali, di ba? Na mapag-participate natin yung community. Sabi ko nga kanina, may prerequisite tayo. Yung establishment muna natin ng relationship sa kanila, pag-educate, di ba? Pag-analyze with them kung ano yung problema. Then, of course, multi-sectoral partnership kasi we wouldn't have done yung marami nating projects without the help din ng iba pang stakeholders sa community, mga NGOs, kahit yung mga government organizations and the college, of course. Okay? We collaborate with other organizations with the same interest para dun sa community. And of course, students' initiative. Minsan talagang hindi mo mapigilan yung initiative ng ating mga estudyante, especially when natutunan nila, naramdaman nila yung needs ng community at noong desire ng community na maging maayos yung kanilang health. And last, of course, yung institutional support ng PM College of Medicine as well as the whole university. Okay? So, okay, I think, yan. So, siguro, bago ko discuss tong drivers of health, I'll just share ulit yung isa pang video. Ito naman, para mas makita nyo lang. Okay? The students, kasi wala rin yung students natin ngayon, to share sana ano yung experience nila, ano yung mga tutunan. Nasa bakunahan. So, meron naman kaming video on yan. Okay.
Ayun, napaka-fulfilling. Na dito ko nalaman na gusto ko talaga tumulong.
Whoa, oh, oh. Whoa, oh, oh. Whoa, oh, oh. Whoa, oh, oh. Whoa, oh, oh.
Kahit na parang sketchy yung lugar nung umpisa, nung umiikot naman na kami, actually okay naman siya. Kahit na wala kaming kasama na taga doon talaga, parang okay naman yung mga tao kasi mababait sila, madali silang kausap.
Tunguhan, pwede kitang tulungan. Kwento mo sa'kin yan, teka hilamos ka muna. Hikab sabay banat ng buto, tapos porman tagumpay, yan ang gusto ko. Tara hinga malalim larga, mabagal mabilis, pwede ring rumatsyada. Bawat hakbang meron kang matututunan, dahan-dahan para di mo malimutan.
Sa mga ganito activity mo talaga na-realize na hindi mo pwedeng i-judge yung lugar dahil sa based lang sa itsura niya. Kasi okay naman yung mga tao doon.
Wala tara sumama.
Share the good vibes, live the good life, for the good times.
Para sa palagi fresh, you gotta keep it fresh.
Meron ng favorite thing ko dito. It's that community service or serving other people should not start and end only during our community service time na nire-require tayo sa college. It is more like a commitment na we put on ourselves.
Lakasan mo pa, sige sigaw.
Positibo, agresibo mismo kailangan sa buhay. At dapat alisto maging mabuti sa kapwa. Para iba ka, huwag kang huli sa kapwa. Di ba bida ka? Pag traffic, kantahin ang paborito. Pag umiinit sa bayan mo ng ehersisyo, matugtong maging liwanag sa dilim. Ano man ang mangyari, dapat laging nakangiti. Miss Area Pitas, may naman dyan.
Also, sobrang nag-enjoy din kami dun sa programa na ginawa namin sa Barangay 704. Pati mga preparations na ginawa namin. So, hi, yung 704. Sobrang cooperative ng mga tao and always getting the job done while having fun.
Live the good life for the good times.
Dapat ay palaging fresh, gotta keep it fresh, hey!
It's fun together with Team 704. Sa marami ng learnings from is mga masaya. So,
I'm sharing the good vibes.
maraming salamat po!
I'm sharing the good.
Simple lang siya. Lecture lang tapos less than half a day. Pero na-realize namin na kahit na simple lang yung activity or hindi mo kailangan ng sobrang bongga na activity para makatulong sa mga tao. So, yung mga simpleng bagay, na-appreciate naman nila yun. Tapos, kung may kita mo yun pagka sila nag-participate.
Ang ating programa ngayon ay ang walang kaso sa translato. Sa ating lahat to, hindi po kasi magkakaroon ng sakit po katawan natin na makakitaw. So, kung tayo pa magtrabaho, galing sa loob lang po. Okay, para meron taman, sabihin niyo po, ba't po kang sasabihin pagtaman? Mali naman po, sabihin niyo po, up. 30% ng mga taong may flu or translato, back na back or block na block? Tama po yun. Ano? Masagan? Nananatili ang virus ng mga ating isang linggo?
Totoo nga yan sabi ni Dr. Raclamor, ang paglilingkod ay dapat masaya. So, sobrang saya na itong ComServe na to. Yung mga bagay na sa tingin mo maliit lang, gaya nung pag-conduct mo ng mga learning activities, malaking bagay na pala sa community since mandaming pwedeng paraan para maging tulong sa kanila nito.
Okay naman, basta overall, okay naman. Yun ba? Pero kasi, sabi kasi naman namin, pagkula dito sa community, kung paano sila pulis dito, enjoy din naman kasama yung mga oo, yun naman kasi parang ano.
Masaya yung concert, marami rin. Last time na-expose tayo ng 704. Mas lalo lang, mas lalo lang na parang lumami lalo yung experience ko. So medyo tingnan na clerkship. Natutuwa ako kasi lalo na yung nung nag-implement. Masyado nung nakita ko na yung pagiging lively ng community. Like, babalik.
Masarap ba manikman sa bayan?
Yes.
Thank you guys. I hope natuto kayo na mag-BP, lalo na yung mga second years. Dapat sanay na kayo.
Siguro yung pinakamahalaga na natutunan ko from community service is yung community service. Kasi diba laging I want to help people, I want to help them improve their life, their health. But it is actually the first time that we did it na talagang tumulong kami to help them improve their lifestyle through improving their health habits. And it's actually fulfilling. Lalo na pag thankful sila sa mga ginagawa namin.
Mas na-appreciate yung buhay kasi nung pumunta kami sa community, some are not really lucky enough to have everything on the table. Kasi ako, I tend to ask for more. Andyan na, pero naghahanap ka pa ng higit pa dun. So, natutunan ko na hindi lang tayo yung may kayang ibigay. Yung community din may kayang ibigay sa atin. And yun yung learnings na hindi natin makukuha sa mga libro, hindi natin mabasa sa mga aklat, at hindi din natin matutunan sa apat na sulok ng classroom.
Since medical students tayo, we are bombarded by information every single day of our lives. And dapat advance tayo mag-isip na we hold on to everything, to that information, and to that specific chance na we read or that exam that we passed. Kasi we would know na someday this would be very relevant and it could literally save a life.
Hindi lahat ng bagay ay tatakbo ayon sa plano mo, pero hindi ibig sabihin nun ay titigil ka na. May mga taong pipiliing tumanggi sa mga gusto mo sanang ibigay, pero hindi dapat yun maging hadlang para mas mag-reach out ka sa mas marami pang tao. Higit sa lahat, masayang tumulong, nalutasin ang kanilang mga problema. Pero mas mainam pa rin na turuan silang tumayo sa kanilang sarili mga paa para maging handa sila sa hinaharap.
Simula na naman bagong umaga, iba sa kahapon pero parehong kalsada. Daan patungo sa
Fulfilling.
Napaka-fulfilling.
Ang kwento mo sa akin yan, teka hilamos ka muna. Hikab sabay banat ng buto, tapos porman tago.
So, okay. So, yun yung, siguro yung mga estudyante natin, ano, sinabi na nilang lahat. And I'm so happy na ganun yung naging realization nila sa maikling oras na every year na pumupunta kami sa community kasi nga toxic din sa school. And bakit natin ginagawa to? Bakit yung NSTP, ano? Yun yung ipinapagawa sa atin. I think, lalo na sa College of Med, no, hindi siya separate na activity na kailangan nyo lang matapos. Ano? This is part of our learning kasi we want our education to be very dynamic. Sabi nga ng mga estudyante natin, hindi lang naman sa classroom tayo natututo, and that's so true, no? Sa communities, marami tayong matututunan. And it should be relevant. Dapat yung natututunan natin, kaya nating i-apply pagdating sa totoong mundo natin. And it should be responsive dun sa mga pangailangan nyo at ng communities natin. So that ready tayo, handa tayo sa kinabukasan. So, wag nating ituring itong mga community service as volunteer thing, no? Ako, I think that education should be transformative and it should be part of the nation's building. Kaya kailangan dun pa lang sa very basic na sa community natin, naiintindihan natin ano yung pangailangan para pagdating ng araw na fully equipped na tayo through mas maibibigay natin yung needs nung mas maraming tao natin. And siguro sa huli, no, ito isang paalala lang, not just dun sa doctors, sa mga health professions, pero yung drivers of health kasi, kasama dyan yung behavior, 30% daw yun, 40% social economic environment, 10% physical environment, only 20% yung clinical care. So, ibig sabihin yan, 40, 30, 10, 80% dyan talaga is very basic na dapat nasa community. Kaya ang lagi naming advocacy is to focus more on our communities kasi pag healthy naman yung inyong community, di ba? Mas productive ang ating mga kababayan at mas makaka-contribute sila sa development ng bansa natin. So, siguro I can never emphasize more, no, yung need to be more community-oriented, okay? Whether health man yan or iba pang courses, para mas mas mapaunlad natin, makatulong tayo sa pagpapaunlad ng kalusugan, kabuhayan ng ating mga kababayan, and of course, in turn, yung ating buong bansa. Okay? So, I think yun na po yung last. Maraming salamat.
Thank you very much, Doc Clamor, for that wonderful talk. I would like to call on our MC, Sir Ayana Sicard, to facilitate our open forum.
Thank you very much for that wonderful and inspiring talk. So for now, since, okay, let me just check. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes,
Okay,
Kurt, we
great.
can hear you.
So here. Okay. Miss Mary Mia Clamor, thank you very much for that inspiration talk. We were able to gain more knowledge, and we were able to see on how community works po talaga, no? Kasi po way back in grade 10 po kami, I was once or nag-participate po ako in a community gathering. It's part of our project for our graduation po, na we need to cater children. Nagba-Bible study po kami, and every Sunday, yung po ginagawa namin, pupunta po kami din sa mga liblib na lugar para po makipaglaro, mag-Bible study, and to share our knowledge sa mga bata na yan. Kaya po, nakarelate po ako dun sa sinabi nyo na talaga pong mas makikilala natin if we will be immersing ourselves dun sa community. So, thank you very much po. So now, let's move on to our open forum. So there are selected students po na mag-ask ng questions. But if we have some time to cater other students, they may use our chat box to ask questions. So for the first one, so let me just check here. So if I call your name, just state your name again, your course, and your college. Okay. So for the first one, may I call on Ms. Jillian Kate Perez. There.
Hello po. Rinig na po ba ako?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good morning po, Dr. Clamor. So I'm Jillian Kites Ferres from College of Education, BEd 101. And my question po is, based from your experiences po in doing community services, what is the most challenging part po and paano niyo po ito na-resolve? Thank you po.
Thank you for your question. Actually, lagi yung tinatanong sa amin, no? Kaya hindi ko na rin isinama sa presentation. Marami talaga kaming challenges actually sa community engagement, sa services. Doon sa part namin sa college, okay, as a partner, ang isa doon sa challenge namin is paano namin i-encourage una yung students namin na mag-engage sa community. Okay? Well, of course, pag ito ay academic activity, madali lang kasi alam nila kailangan nila yung gawin. Pero yung genuine na pag-participate or pag-join, Yun, isang challenge yun. Pero usually, pag naintindihan naman nila, nakita nyo naman sa video, di ba? Pag naintindihan naman nila, kadalasan, ano yun, mabilis na resolve. Pangalawa, resources. Kasi hindi ka naman pwedeng punta lang sa community. Ano? Ang lagi ko ang kinukwento, sinasabi doon sa ating mga communities na pinupuntahan, ang amin lang po laging baon dito ay pagmamahal. Pagmamahal namin sa inyo. Yun lang yun. Yun ang puhunan namin kasi kung hindi talagang ang hirap. Lahat naman kailangan ng resources, no? So yun, isang challenge sa amin. Yung kaya talagang kahit yung resources mobilization, talagang pinagpaplanuhan namin lahat yun. On the part naman ng community, and of course, schedule. Lalo na pag academic activity yan, pag sumabayan sa exams, parang tulala na yung mga estudyante ko. Kasi may exam sila mamaya, nagko-community pa kami, okay? Kaya mas masaya kami pag summer kasi wala kaming kalaban. On the part of the community, ang challenges namin is how to gain yung trust muna. Okay? Kasi it all starts there. Pag pinagtiwalaan ka ng community, madali na. Okay? So, kailangang ipakita mo muna talaga sa kanila yung commitment, sincerity mo dun sa iyong pagpunta doon. Na hindi ka lang nandyan dahil mangolekta ka ng data, yun yung kasi yung parate, yun yung marami at doon ako talaga medyo nai-stress pag pupunta sa community, magre-research lang and then naalis na. Without really, yun ang lagi kong advocacy. We don't go to the community just to collect data from them and then wala naman silang pakinabang doon sa research mo. Ikaw lang nakinabang dahil pumasa ka doon sa subject, na i-publish mo yung research mo. On the other hand naman, yung community, ano bang napakinabangan niya doon sa ginawa mong research? Diba? That's why community participation research lagi yung gusto namin. Okay? So yun yung mga ilang challenges. Of course, some security, pero sa totoo lang, maraming natatakot na doctors. Hindi ka ba natatakot yung mga estudyante mo, ang kikinis niyan, ang yan, punta sa community? But no, sa totoo lang, it's, siguro for others, okay, ako rin, minsan, pag summertime, talagang kinakabahan, pero ang totoo, yung community will always protect you. Kasi pag alam nilang nandyan ka to help them out, di ba? In solidarity dun sa kanilang kalagayan, sila mismo yung nagpo-protect sa'yo. Just like what's happening. Doktor, huwag kayong pumunta kasi may ganito. Doktor, huwag natin gawin yan kasi hindi yan sa mga tao. So, para mas maprotektahan kayo. Tapos lagi sila nagde-detail ng mga magbabantay sa amin to ensure at laging pinapaalalahan yung mga community members na ito yung mga taga-PLM, kapartner natin sila, tutulungan nila tayo, kaya dapat protektahan natin sila. So, yun yung mga ilang challenges, okay? Sa pagpunta sa community. Thank you.
There. Thank you, Jillian, for that question. And next one, may I call on Queen Andoloy.
Good afternoon po. Narinig po ba? Yung tanong ko na ano po yung mabibigay niyo pong tips para po doon sa mga family members or individuals na hindi po naniniwala sa medicine, di kaya po nagsa-self-medicate po. Kasi po personally po, nakaranas na rin po ako ng ganun po na ayaw po nilang maniwala na ito nga po yung kailangan gawin. So ano po yung mabibigay niyo po na tips?
Okay. Marami kaming nakikitang ganyan. Totoo yan, no? Kahit ngayon sa bakuna, maniwala, di ba? Parang kailangan natin yan. Those are mga behaviors kasi and cultural din. Okay? Maliban sa education, lahat yan inaaral natin pag pumupunta tayo sa community. Ang unang-una, huwag kang darating doon at magmamagaling. na ako yung expert, ako yung doktor. Maniwala ka sa akin. Hindi po pwede yun. Sarado na agad ang tindahan nila. Hindi ka na nila papansinin. So, mas madalas talagang tiyagaan sa pagpapaliwanag. Okay? Ang madalas namin ginagawa is mag-i-interview muna kami. Ano yung mga misconceptions? Kasi para pag nagle-lecture kami, masasagot na namin isa-isa. So, alamin mo ano yung background. Bakit ba hindi siya naniniwala? Malamang kinalakihan na niya yan. Kasi yung magulang niya, ganun yung behavior sa health. So, ganun din yung niya. Okay? Or, meron siyang bad experience about this medicine, about medicines in general, lalo na yung mga anti-vaxxers, ganyan. Okay? So, pag nalaman mo na yon, saka tayo magpapaliwanag scientifically, pero hindi mo siya talagang outright, hindi po yung totoo. Okay? Hindi po pwedeng gano'n, no? Ipapaliwanag mo, baka po kasi nung time na yon ganito. Okay? Tapos, meron kaming mga iba't ibang binibigay na examples para maniwala sila. Maraming ganyan. Pero eventually, hindi pwedeng isang upuan lang. Yun lang din, no? Kailangan sa community matyaga ka. Kahit sa pag-educate namin, minsan isa, dalawa lang unang pupunta. Pag naririnig na nila na maraming natututunan yung iba, yun. At saka, I think, minsan, yung mga kapitbahay na mismo yung umaaway sa kanila, hindi kasi ganyan. Okay, sila mismo yung nag-aaway. Pero hindi, mostly talagang sustained education, okay, sa kanila. Kaya hindi ka po pwedeng pupunta lang doon at aalis bukas. Okay, pag nakita mo yung problema, meron kang programa na gagawin.
Thank you po.
Thank you, Queen, for that question. Okay, may I call on Mr. James Reyes?
Hello, good morning po. Good morning. I'm James Reyes po from PLMBS, BS Accountancy po, 110. So my question po is, there are students po who are willing to help and engage in community services and projects, but most of them po ay hindi po pinapayagan lumabas because of the ongoing pandemic. In what other ways po ba can these students help without exposing themselves po to other people? Thank you po.
Okay, thank you. Yan ang talagang pinaka-challenge din sa amin, ano? Kahit kami, no? Dahil may mga comorbids, hirap lumabas. Pero one, kung talagang hindi kaya, okay? Kasi ako ang lagi yung sinasabi, ito nga yung mas kailangan tayo ng communities natin. Nakakalungkot lang na, halimbawa, yung mga 18 and below, hindi talaga pwedeng lumabas. Advocacy is one, ano? Para dun sa kung ano may yung pangailangan ng communities. So sa Facebook, social media, yung mga advocacy natin. Okay? Hindi lang siguro natin nararamdaman agad, pero those advocacies, in the end, pag marami, may impact talaga yan doon sa communities natin. No? So marami na tayong napatunayan dyan pag may mga advocacies, na naging viral, na-address yung mga problema, okay? Kahit doon sa community level, kahit nga mga individual level, di ba? Okay? Two, pwede tayong mag-online engagement, okay? Like kami, we have this Facebook page, no? Talagang pinilit namin magka-page kasi kahit papano, may ensure namin na yung lalabas na mga information, okay, ay accurate. Kasi yun yung kalaban natin ngayon yung mga fake news, misinformation. So that's one. And of course, mga resource mobilization. Alam naman natin kung gaano kahirap ang buhay ngayon. So kagaya ng mga ginawa na patreng, ang tawag dito, community pantry, or any other means, no, to help the community with their material needs. Okay, yung mga estudyante ko, nagkalap sila ng mga ng resources, tapos nag-donate na lang sa community. Isa lang yung pumunta. pwede ring ipadala na lang kung meron ka talagang uh, uh, problem. So, those things pwede natin gawin. No? Hindi tayo pwedeng patigilin itong pandemic na to sa pagbibigay ng serbisyo. There are so many ways. Okay, I think mas kayong may alam niyan. Kasi mga millennials, no, maraming strategies yan. Okay, but I think those things pwede natin. Thank you.
Thank you po.
I totally agree with you, ma'am, that every Filipino is really a resilient one. Kasi nga po, di ba, even na hindi po ganun kalaki yung nabibigay sa ating ayuda, yung mga nangangailangan po, we're able to come up with an idea that's community pantry. Di ba? Para kung yung sense mo ng camaraderie and teamwork is nandun palagi sa isang community. And yeah. And for that one po, our next one is Shelo Angela Aguilar.
Good morning po. I'm Shelo Aguilar from College of Education, Ed 1 po. My question would be, may certain indicators po ba ng success ng community immersion? Like, paano po masasabi na successful po yung ginawang community immersion ng students or ng college po? Yan lang po.
Okay. That's a very good question. No? Tinuturo din namin yan sa ating mga students. Yung first, we can measure kasi yung community participation. There's a ladder. And then, yung community, tawag dito, community engagement, actually yung pwede natin i-measure. But actually, community engagement is a continuum. Hindi siya, pag ito, yun na yun. Okay, continuum siya. Ibig sabihin, from this level to this level is community engagement. Siyempre, yung highest level would be your, tawag dito, your target na mangyari na dapat ganito, okay? At ang highest kasi sa community engagement is actually dapat na-empower na natin sila, okay? Ibig sabihin, meron na sila talagang initiative na gumawa ng project nila on their own, okay? Pero on start, I think meron ako niyan, kasi pala hindi ko na i-share yung aking. Okay. On start, pwedeng una sa community engagement continuum, outreach muna, okay, isang community involvement, i-inform mo sila na may gagawin ka. Next is pwedeng consult. Ibig sabihin, nakukonsulta mo na sila at nag-feedbackan ka nila tungkol dun sa mga ginawa mo. Involvement, next yun, no? Better community involvement or participation ng community. Then collaborate, okay? Partnership na talaga yung project, and then shared leadership. Yun nga, sila na talaga yung nag-lead. And meron kaming ginagamit ng mga indicator and scale, like indicator, yung needs assessment, leadership, okay? Tapos ang scale namin dyan, 1 pag narrow pa, 2 pag restricted, 3 mean, 4 open, then 5 wide. So, depende, no? I-describe lang namin. Pero at least yung pinaka-highest level, yung wide, dun sa community needs assessment indicator, kailangan community members are generally involved in the needs assessment. Sila na yung nagtutukoy ano yung problema nila. And then sa leadership, sila na yung nagpapatawag ng meeting, sila na yung may mga committees na sila for health, for livelihood, mas ganon. Okay? So, kaya naman siyang i-measure. Meron kaming mga ginagamit. And I think pwede nating i-share yan sa inyo.
Thank you.
But of course, it's a long process, ha. Kaya nga yung aming mga yung mga programs namin during the summer, short and sweet lang. Kaya ang mga evaluation namin at saka indicators namin, mga lang din. Hindi kami nag-expect ng malaki sa konting input namin, di ba? Parang ganun.
Thank you po.
Thank you, Ms. Aguilar, for that question. So now let's go back to Ms. Mariah Ricardo.
Good morning po, ma'am.
Yeah.
My question po is, based po sa inyong mga experiences, what is the best way as a nurse na pwede nating magawa to engage the people in the community, to encourage their cooperation and participation during yung mga programs po na ginagawa natin?
Okay. Sige. Ang laging idea dyan ng mga students, well, actually ako talaga, dinidiscourage ko sila from doing that. Para dumami yung magpa-participate sa mga activities, magpaparaffle, may prizes, may incentives, which is lagi namin dinidiscourage yan. Pero dahil dun sa nanggigigil yung mga estudyante na maraming a-attend, talagang ganun yung ginagawa. Pero ang best way pa rin to encourage their participation is to educate them. Okay? Dapat alam nila na itong activities na to, itong mga gagawin natin ay para sa kanila. Okay? At pag yun yung kanilang pinaka-motivation, mas na-encourage silang umattend. Okay? So, medyo mahirap na proseso. Kaya nga, on start, ganun muna yung ginagawa. Mag-lecture, tapos on the side, meron kang mga pa-prizes para ma-encourage silang umattend. Pero later on, nakikita namin na kahit wala na kaming incentives, uma-attend sila. Why? Because nakikita nila, na-realize nila na marami silang natututunan. Maraming nagagawa. Okay? Maraming pag nagpa-project kami on some things, clean up and everything, para yun talaga sa kanila. Merong napapala yung community. That's why yun yung isa. No? And of course, yung pag-organize sa kanila and pag-inculcate sa kanila na pag ginawa natin to, okay, solidarity mo yan, cooperation mo yan dun sa barangay mo. Okay? So, at yan ay yun para sa kanilang lahat.
Okay po, ma'am. Thank you po.
Thank you, Ms. Ricardo. And for the last one, let's go back with Mr. J.R. Dapula.
Good morning po, ma'am. Here's my question po. Community services and reliably a big help naman po to many people of different places. Malaki po talaga siyang tulong pagdating po sa pagtugon sa mga pangangailangan ng community siya po sa pag-address ng mga concerns. However, during this pandemic, the range of communities to be given aid have become limited. In order rin na mapanatili po yung kalusugan ng mga volunteers, mas pinipili na lang rin po nila, di ba, na mag-volunteer through online on several campaigns. Given these cases, how are we able to continuously reach isolated areas and help indigenous people with their needs, knowing that most of these locations are out of internet connections and mobile coverage?
Okay, thank you. Talagang isang napakalaking concern yan para sa atin. Hindi nga lang kahit dito as near as some parts of Tondo, hindi talaga sila nararating, at saka hindi sila kaka-access ng services. So, more than online, talaga ang sinasabi namin, ako I'm a staunch advocate na mag-face-to-face na kami. Kasi nga, ang sinasabi natin, nasan ba ang laban? Ang laban nasa community level. You educate them, you give them enabling environment para ma-practice na yung minimum health standards. Ibig sabihin, pag uhugasin mo silang kamay, wala naman tubig. Diba? Walang sabon. kumain na mabuti, walang makain. Diba? So, ang lagi naming call, kailangan i-address nyo lahat yan. And, unfortunately for the students ngayon, hindi talaga pinapayagan. But on your own, pwede. For our part sa medicine, ang binabargain na sana namin is that we will just ensure yung minimum health standards and mitigation process sa mitigating parang protocols para hindi mahawa, okay? Or on the other hand, baka mamaya tayo pa yung mag-introduce ng COVID sa community dahil, di ba, usually healthy youth, asymptomatic yan, no? Tapos pag nakahawa ka ng mga malnourished dun sa community, mas sila yung naapektuhan. Ang hirap ng tanong mo na hindi ko sasabihin na, sige, lumabas lang kayo. Diba? Kasi of course, gusto natin security and safety ng mga students. Pero I think para mas makalabas na tayo at makatulong sa community, face-to-face, live na live, I think meron talagang kailangan gawin ang government na maayos na sistema para dun sa community level, okay? Hindi naman talaga natin trabaho pa yan. Sa totoo lang. Trabaho ng gobyerno. Pero tayo willingly, because we are part of this nation at nakikita natin yung kakulangan. Gusto nating tumulong. Okay? Pero dapat talaga, ang unang tulong natin is push them. Okay? Push them to do their job. Hindi tayo ang papalit doon, hindi NGOs, hindi academe ang papalit doon sa trabaho nila na mag-provide ng enabling environment. Minsan, kahit kami, nahihirapan kami, nakikita natin ng problema, tubig. Tubig, very basic. Diba? Kubeta, very basic yan. Paano namin yan mare-resolutionan? Diba? Maraming NGOs nagpapatay ng kubeta, nagpapatay ng tubig. Pero actually, talagang trabaho yun ng gobyerno. And siguro yun, at this point na hindi tayo nakakalabas at nakakatulong physically, I encourage everyone, okay, to voice out yung concerns para trabahuin na once and for all. Kasi itong pandemic na to, talagang na-booking na-expose yung napakaraming gaps, okay? Napakaraming problema sa healthcare system natin. At nakita na yung impact ng mga sakit na yon affected by the social determinants economic. Okay? So, we go back to basics. Okay? Hindi natin papalitan yung sila doon sa trabaho nila, but we push them to do and then help them pag ginagawa na nila. Okay? So, I think that's it.
Salamat po, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Dapula, for that question. So, yeah, that's it for our set of questions. But you can, guys, you can still send your questions, and whenever it's possible, right after this event, we'll do our best to communicate with you regarding your questions. So, thank you very much, Ms. Clamore. In a short span of time, Ms. Mary Clamore was able to talk about community immersion and other things that we are able to gain knowledge and wisdom. Thank you for sharing your story that I am sure many of us got really inspired, and I'm sure that everyone else is hoping to have a longer session with you, Ms. Clamore. All right, at this moment, let's move on to the awarding of certificate. May I call on Mr. Mark John Bonifacio to read the certificate citation.
Thank you very much, Dr. Clamore, for that very relevant, timely, and definitely very informative talk. We would like to award this certificate, ma'am, Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila, Office of the National Service Training Program awards this certificate of appreciation to Dr. Mary Mia Clamor from the Community Medicine Department of the College of Medicine for her invaluable support as our guest speaker in the Bare Truth, Raising Awareness and Engagement, a Community Exposure, Immersion and Service webinar for NSTP CWATS students. Signed, Mark John Bonifacio, the Assistant Director of the Office of the National Service Training Program, concurrent as the Chairperson of the CWTS unit. Also signed by Professor Lalaine Isip, the Assistant Vice President for Academic Support Units, and Dr. Gilmore Solidum, our Vice President for Academic Support Units. Again, ma'am, thank you very much po.
Thank you too.
And at this juncture, I would like to invite everyone to open their mic, and could we give Dr. Mary Clamor a big round of applause?
Thank you po.
Salamat po.
Thanks, Doc Mary.
Thank you, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Doc.
And also,
Thank you
we
po.
would like to invite
Thank you po.
everyone to...
Done na po, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir, and Dr. Clamor. And everyone, why don't give all ourselves a tap on all our shoulders for having this day. We couldn't have done this successfully without our participants and our speakers who spared their time attending this webinar presentation. Now, this is the saddest part, but the fulfilling part of our event because we're able to successfully finish the event. And I hope you all learned something new that you can share it with your friends and family. So now, again, let us call on Mr. Marjan Bonifacio, Assistant Director of NSTP, for his closing remarks.
To all of our distinguished guests, Dr. Gilmore Solidum, our Vice President for Academic Support Units, to Professor Lalaine Isip, our Assistant Vice President for Academic Support Units, to our guest speakers, Ms. Maria Teresa Coman and Dr. Mary Clamor, to our NSTP faculty members, and of course, our dear students who attended this two-day webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, good day. First of all, on behalf of the PLM Office of the National Service Training Program, staff, personnel, faculty members, and students, we would like to extend our gratitude and appreciation to both of our guest speakers and their team for sharing their unparalleled experience, professional expertise, and genuine passion in the conduct of their respective community engagement activities. It is imperative at this moment that you students should know and be familiar with the very fundamental concepts of NSTP, especially the CWTS components. This program aims to develop the ethics of service amongst the youth, especially to students like you, and introduce the sense of service through program and activities contributory to the betterment of life of the members of the community. This objective is well inclined to the university's vision, mission, and goals.
as a premier people's university that pursue public interest and forming professionals who are critical-minded and service-oriented leaders, guided by the principles of karunungan, kaunlaran, and kadakilaan. As PLM students, you bear the honor and privilege, as well as the duties and responsibilities of this principle. Hence, the ONSTP strive to offer you activities such as webinars like this to assist you in fulfilling these ideals. For your information, and let me tell you, in almost 20 years of the implementation of the NSTP law here in PLM, the NSTP CWTS batch 2020-2021, your batch, has the highest number of registration, with about 4,000 registered CWTS students. We know that during these difficult times brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic, nobody is exempted. Everybody is affected, and everyone is having a hard time coping up in their own ways. Students are definitely one of the most affected sector of the community that is affected by this situation. May I share one of my ways of coping up? During difficult times, I just want to find something positive and beneficial out of it. Like when things get not so well, consider it training. The very concept of training is that it should be difficult. It should be unforgiving. That if you perform and surpass hardships like this, you will survive the real fight. You have a better chance of success when this crisis ends and you continue your normal lives. And remember, letter T in our course description NSTP means training. Usually at this point of the school year, one of the requirements of NSTP CWATS program is that students have to design, propose, implement, evaluate, and reflect on a community development project. For many students, community exposure and engagement are activities that highlights their NSTP CWATS. But unfortunately, we cannot and we will not risk your welfare and safety exposing yourself to the community due to the virus. In fact, the recently approved CHED guidelines will allow very limited face-to-face classes to higher year level students of the medical sciences. The protocols are very stringent. This shows how serious the situation is for you students. But if students are not allowed, if NSTP students are not allowed to be exposed in the community, we thought, why not bring the community experience to the students? Hence this webinar. We invited resource persons, resource speakers who have actual real-life experiences in community engagements and activities. I would just like to echo a quotation shared by one of our speakers during day one. The true measure of any society can be found in how it treats the most vulnerable of its members, by Mahatma Gandhi. Now, if you find yourself coping up and surviving at this point, I think that is good. But if you find yourself not only able to respond to your needs, but also able to share and help others, to extend a part of yourself to those who are vulnerable members of the community, I think you are in a much better position. The theme of this community exposure, immersion, and service webinar is the bare truth, raising awareness and engagement. As Dr. Solidum shared to us during his welcome remarks, the bare or the naked truth, it refers to plain and adorned facts without concealment or embellishment. For that reason, we have invited resource speakers who really are engaged in community development activities to share real-life experiences, both the pros and cons of community involvement, and to tell stories that define the very reality of our communities. We hope that with these stories, we were able to raise the level of your awareness on the different aspects of community works. When we say the different aspects, we try to mean how, the whys, what, the who, where, and when of community engagements. Like first, how? How do you properly conduct community development programs and the important things you have to prepare for? At this point, you have to understand that community service is not a simple hobby or pastime activities if you're bored. We have realized that engaging oneself to community service requires some degree of competence, knowledge, and skills, in addition to the feeling of compassion, sympathy, or empathy to the members of the community who needs your help. And the whys. Why do you conduct such activities? It should not be based on your mere interest or curiosity to be involved, but rather it should be fueled by the realization that the community needs our help and compassion. The whats. What do you have to prepare for if you are to engage yourself in community works as a volunteer or as a professional? Especially during these times, we have to consider protocols, guidelines, coordination, and policies of governing institutions. Then we have the who, where, and when. Of course, it is ideal to reach out everybody who needs our help, everywhere, anytime. But we have limited resources. Let us remember that. We have to develop some kind of strategy how to conduct community outreach programs and deliver goods and services. One important note is to avoid redundancy and over-allocation to one part and scarcity to the other. That is what we mean by raising awareness. We hope that you have learned something, and the level of awareness have been elevated. Not only that we aim to raise awareness, but also, I think more importantly, we would like to raise the bar of engagement of NSTP students in various activities that benefit the communities. We hope that by listening to the stories of service, commitment, sacrifice, and compassion of our speakers, you have developed the sense of dedication to give a part of yourself to help the community. Listening to the news, and as we can see on different social media platforms, though this pandemic has restricted our movements and access to different places, and activities, it is not impossible to organize and conduct activities to help others. This as also shared by our speakers. But of course, be mindful of the hazards brought about by the COVID-19 virus, and that we have to protect ourselves at all times. Or better yet, we can design different ways to help the community through your ingenuity and creativity to minimize the exposures and risks. We really hope that you have learned something from this webinar. But for us, it is more important that this webinar has caused change or improvement in your mindset and views regarding community engagement. Since this is a school activity, may I take this opportunity to announce that after this webinar, and as stipulated in your curriculum, students are to submit reflection papers regarding this webinar. To craft your reflection paper, you may respond or use the following guide questions to help you realize the very aim of this activity. 1. Give your general realization on the overall conduct of the webinar. Second guide questions. Did your understanding on community engagement improve after this webinar? If yes, how did your understanding improve? You may cite specific learnings that you found most notable in the content of the webinar. And the third guide questions, how will your improved understanding contribute to the realization of the objectives of NSTP CWATS? With that, I would like to thank everyone for attending this webinar. And again, isang mapagpala at mapagpalayang araw sa inyong lahat. Thank you, everyone.
There. Thank you very much, Mr. Mark John Bonifacio, for that wonderful remarks. There, guys, remember your reflection papers to be submitted. Okay, this part is saying our goodbyes, but just for this event. Yes, because I know that we will be still seeing each other maybe after this pandemic. I can't wait to see all of my kaisko and kaiska again, especially those freshmen. But before ending this day, please stay for the singing of the Pamantasan hymn. Thank you, everyone, and good afternoon. This is Kirchan Delito, your host for today's event.
Pamantasan mahal, nag-uugay kamit naghahanay ng pag-ibig tapos na pagkana sa patnubay ng aming isipan. Paruhan tuloy kaunlaran, inuubog kaming kabataan. Maging Pilipinong mayroong dangal, puso'y bigil ng kadahilahan. Mamanas ang puso ng Maynila, kaming lahat dito'y iyong tulad. Kung parin pangarap mo't nasa, mamanasan kami lumipad. Mamantas ang lungsod ng Maynila, kaming lahat ito'y iyong tulad. Kung parin pangarap mo't nasa,